Welcome to the 2021 DeRose-Hinkhouse Memorial Awards program. I'm Reverend Brian Fesler, pastor of the Church of Scientology in Nashville, Tennessee, member of the RCC Board of Governors, and coordinator of this year's program. The DeRose-Hinkhouse Award began in 1967 as the Hinkhouse Award, and I thought tonight I would open with a brief biography of Paul M. Hinkhouse. Mr. Hinkhouse was born in Iowa in the early 1890s. His father was the prominent minister and educator, Reverend John Frederick Hinkhouse. Paul himself grew up to be an educator and a world traveler. He taught English at Asyut College in Egypt, where he met his future wife, Uretta. In the 1920s, he studied journalism at Columbia University in New York. He went on to Chicago and became part of the editorial staff for The Covenant, a Presbyterian religious journal. Later, he worked for the Presbyterian Foreign Missions Conference and wrote for the Presbyterian General Assembly Daily News. In 1933, he went into the lithography business in New York with Victor DeRose. When he passed away some 30 years later, Mr. DeRose bestowed this award in his honor. When Mr. DeRose passed away, his name was added, and here we are in 2021 with the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards. The award honors excellence in religion communication, and I can tell you, 2020 saw a lot of that. But before we get into the winning entries, let's talk about how the classes and categories are organized.
Entrants submit their work in one of 11 classes. Classes are organized into 3 major groupings. Publications are judged as a whole. For example, if a magazine article were submitted in a publications category, judges would consider the design, layout, copywriting, and graphics of the article. The content classes are for individual authors and artists to submit their works for consideration as distinct from the publications in which they appeared. Each entry is scored on its own merits. For example, if the entry is for writing, judges disregard any images or design elements which may accompany it. This gives creators an opportunity to be judged for their own work apart from other elements over which they may have no control. And finally, the campaigns group recognizes excellence in the planning and execution that is at the heart of public relations, the campaign. Written publications classes include periodicals, books, websites, and specialty publications. Audiovisual publications include news and magazine broadcasts, shorts and feature presentations, and other specialty programming like podcasts, vlogs, and webinars. The content classes are writing for periodicals, specialized writing, artwork, and design. Campaigns come in many flavors, from public awareness to crisis management, fundraising, and more. Within each class, there are categories. Each category has a category winner. This is a very high honor. In some cases, the judges found additional outstanding work, and that is recognized with awards of excellence, awards of merit, or honorable mentions. But the most coveted of all awards is the best in class, and these are the ones who take the trophy.
The way this will work is I am going to show the category winners for each category in each class. The additional awards of excellence, awards of merit, and awards of honor will roll out at the end of the program like credits, and then be available on the RCC website. All right, let's get started with our first and largest class, Class A, Periodicals.
In the Newspapers Series category, South Carolina United Methodist Advocate by Jessica Brody and Allison Trussell.
The Newspapers Single Work category, The Alabama Baptist by Jennifer Rash and Carrie McWhirter.
In the Magazines Series category, Brilliant Star 2020, Volume 50, Number 5, through Volume 51, Number 1, by Amethel Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons.
In the magazine's Single Work category, we have Brilliant Star, Hearts in Harmony, Volume 50, Number 6, by Amethel Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons.
In the Newsletters Series category, Washington Newsletter, by Adlai Moore, Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham, and Alex Franzen of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the Newsletters Single Work category, we have the U.S. Baha'i News, June 2020, by Joyce Lidoff of U.S. Baha'i National Center. In the Blogs Series category, The CBF blog by Aaron Weaver and Carrie Harris of Cooperative Baptist Fellowship.
In the blog's single word category, And the Steeple Bell Rang, a rural church's Holy Week witness in a pandemic by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterians Today.
In the Articles and Stories series category, Holy Name Province responds to COVID-19 by Jocelyn Thomas of the Franciscan Friars of Holy Name Province.
In the Articles and Stories single word category, Connection, Compassion, and Care in a Bronx COVID-19 Ward, Sister Mary Catherine Redmond, by Chris Herlinger of Global Sisters Report, National Catholic Reporter.
And the best in class, Connection, Compassion, and Care in a Bronx COVID-19 Ward, Sister Mary Catherine Redmond, by Chris Herlinger.
In the first 3 months of the pandemic, Sister Mary Catherine Redmond trod through pain, agony, and loss. Like other sisters on the front lines responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, each ministering in their own ways according to their own gifts, Redmond's decades-long service has been undergirded by a commitment to social justice. "This is a horrible time in our country," Redmond said. "Horrible on many levels, but most disturbing at our core, where we still look at another person as other and judge them so quickly by the color of their skin, their ethnic background, their religious beliefs, political stance, economic access. If we stand with the same intensity and desire our frontline responders had during this COVID crisis, it is my hope that we can be one," Redmond said. But like the response to the pandemic, it has to happen now.
Judges said it was an inspiring Saint Next Door character profile and a story of a real-life crisis that still keeps hope alive. And let's hear from Chris.
My editors, Pam Hackenmiller, who's the managing editor, she did the actual, the hard work of copy editing. She did a terrific job, as she always does. And then our editor-in-chief, Gail DeGeorge of Global Sisters Report, she had pushed to do a profile, and she was very passionate about wanting us to do this. So I think on all three fronts, the subject and the two editors, it went really well. We were still in sort of lockdown in a sense. I had done another story, profile with some sisters working here in Queens where I live. And that was my first venture out to actually talk to people in person. So Sister Mary Redmond was like the second person, the second subject who I had actually met in person. And so it was special just to get out of Queens. I had to go to the Bronx and actually do an interview in person. And, we did it all safely, of course, wearing masks and everything. But it felt, it was kind of a little adventure. What would have been normal, just going up to the Bronx, turned into a little bit of not a challenge, but it was a good practice in this time of pandemic, I think. It's always an honor to be recognized by your peers. And my time with the RCC, it started back when I was with Church World Service as senior editor and as a writer. And I miss seeing people in the God boxes, we call it. So I've always felt a personal tie to the RCC, and it feels like family, and so it's nice to be recognized by people in your family, I think.
On we go to the books class, and we have 2 category winners. In the Books for Adults category, we have Quakers, A Quick Guide by Carl Abbott, by Adlai Moore and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of the Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the youth category, John Burke's Dizzy Gillespie, A Man, a Trumpet, and a Journey to Bebop by Susan Engel of the U.S. Baha'i National Center.
And the best in class, John Burke's Dizzy Gillespie, A Man, a Trumpet, and a Journey to Bebop.
He just couldn't sit still. Usually, this was because there was music going on in the room or in his head. But today, he was getting ready to make a trip to 2 big cities up north. Tomorrow, he, his brothers, and his mother would get on the train. His father had saved enough money for part of the family to travel. Despite his restlessness, the young boy couldn't stop smiling. The smell of chicken frying, along with bread and pie baking, didn't calm him one bit. He knew that taking home-cooked food was important on such a long trip. The train was divided between cars for white people and cars for black people, and good food wasn't provided for the second group. The boy had been told that even if he got lucky, he would only find some dried-up old ham sandwiches. Never mind. He wouldn't get better tasting food than the yummy goodies that his friends and family were helping prepare in the kitchen.
Judges said the cover and internal illustrations are fun and charming in their execution and full of personality, movement, and expression. They also fit well with the idea of Dizzy being a jazz musician. This is a beautifully written and edited book. Let's hear from Susan Engel.
I wanted to read a little quotation from the Universal House of Justice, which is the international elected governing body of the Baha'is. They wrote this a few years ago. Children are the most precious treasure a community can possess, for in them are the promise and guarantee of the future. They bear the seeds of the character of future society, which is largely shaped by what the adults constituting the community do or fail to do with respect to children. So, my work was with Brilliant Star magazine, which is also a children's magazine, and just feel like this work is so vital for all ages, but my heart is with the children in particular. We don't, we're not out there in the New York bestseller list, or we work pretty quietly amongst ourselves, and to help each other feel good about the work we do is really essential to keeping our morale up and keeping our juices flowing and all the creativity going. So it's very essential, I think, to the work we do, to talk to one another and pat each other on the back.
All right, the websites class also has 2 category winners. In the organizational website category, Brilliant Star Online by Amithil Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons of the Baha'i National Center.
In the topical websites category, Beeson Magazine 2020 Being Human by Kristen Padilla of Beeson Divinity School of Sanford University.
And the best in class is Brilliant Star Online by Amithil Parle Sewell, C. Aaron Crater, Amy Renshaw, and Heidi Parsons. Judges said, awesome site. You've done very well to speak directly to your audience. Your copy is on target. The art and thumbnails are terrific. It's fantastic. Even your search box is well done. And tonight we'll hear from Amy Renshaw.
Well, we couldn't do our work without the support of the national leadership of the Baha'i Faith, and that's a 9-member elected council known as the National Spiritual Assembly. Also, every Brilliant Star effort is a team effort. So there are RCC members, Amithil Parle Sewell and C. Aaron Crater and Heidi Parsons, who contributed to the website. And then the rest of our team is also instrumental. That's Lisa Blecker, Darcy Greenwood, Fouad Gorbani, Donna Price, and Katie Bishop. The website, Brilliant Star Online, complements our print magazine. And the print magazine is focused on encouraging kids and youth of all religions around the world to be world citizens, to develop their spiritual virtues and qualities, and to be of service in their communities. So we love that it extends, our print mission into the world of online. The RCC has just been a tremendous benefit to us over the years. We were just reflecting on it as a team. The DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards and the Religion Communicators Council overall has just been so supportive and encouraging. It helps us feel like we're part of a community of faith faith communicators. So, it's so many diverse religions that are part of the group. And we just feel like we're not alone, that there are other professionals out there that are doing similar work. And it's just so exciting to see what all different faiths are doing to promote, justice and to promote religion and cooperation among different faiths. And in addition, the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards encourage us to continue to strive for excellence and to share our work with others. We'd love to convey our sincere appreciation to everyone at RCC for all of the work you do to put together the DeRose-Hinkhouse competition and all the other events and resources that are part of the RCC. You do so much to build this community, and it really is important to us.
There are 2 category winners in the Specialty Publications class.
In the Annual Reports category, 2019 Annual Report, American Baptist Home Mission Societies by Danny Ellison, Susan Gottschall, and Nadine Hazenez.
In the category of other specialty publications, we have Let Us Light Candles, Advent and Christmas Devotional 2020 by Donna Frischknecht Jackson of Presbyterians Today. And the best in class? The 2019 Annual Report, American Baptist Home Mission Societies by Danny Ellison, Susan Gottschall, and Nadine Hazenez. Judges said, the concept for the cover is a bold move, yet it pays off by offering a unique spin on the typical annual report cover. This is a piece that truly is easy to follow, grabs attention, and pulls focus to the areas you want focus on. Let us hear from Danny Ellison.
Well, I was just one part of this project. Susan Gottschall, Nadine Hazenez, Sue Peterman, they all played a part in the concept, the writing, the editing, the research. So, I know it's kind of a cliche, but it truly was a team effort. The annual report is one of our bigger projects throughout the year. And, we devote a lot of time to it because in addition to providing financial information, it tells the important stories of what the organization did the previous year. And this goes to donors and others, and we put a lot of effort into it. It's always nice to receive the recognition from your peers, but it's also great to see other work from other professionals from around the country, and to see the different projects that they're working on and how they go about their work. I just appreciate what the RCC does, the staff and the board. I know they put a lot of time and effort into their work throughout the year, and also for the convention each year. They always do a great job. And so thank you to them. And also thank you to the judges. I know we've been judges in the past, and it's a lot of work. It's fun work. It's interesting work because you get to see all the different projects and stuff that people have been working on. So the thank you goes out to the judges also.
The News and Magazine Broadcasts class has 5 category winners.
In the Radio Single Work category, Hunger and Poverty in America by Tim McHugh of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the Web Radio Series category, Black Lives Matter by Todd Seifert of the Great Plains Conference of the United Methodist Church.
In the TV Series category, Air, Land, and Sea, The Portuguese Sufferrod by Brad Pomerantz, John McCandless, Danny O'Brien, and Kevin Wegener of Jewish Life Television, JLTV.
In the Webcast Series, Fortifying Families Webinar Series by Ryan John Coe and Jonathan K. Ammons of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
In the Webcast Single Work category, Ryan John Coe and Jonathan K. Ammons by Ryan J. Coe of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And the best in class is Black Lives Matter by Todd Seifert.
Welcome to In Layman's Terms, a podcast dedicated to discipleship and putting Scripture to use in our daily lives. I'm your host, Todd Seifert. I'm the Communications Director for the Great Plains Conference of the United Methodist Church.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Floyd's death prompted people across the country, even overseas actually, to launch protests. Some rallies turned violent, with looting and property being damaged, but most were peaceful, with speakers telling the story of a race of people embattled since the first African slaves landed in the New World in 1619. Most of the marches and rallies emphasized the all too often overlooked truth: Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Judges said it was a joy to hear sincere voices telling the tale of individuals' experience and sharing insights from the lives lived in a racist society. The host guided the discussion beautifully with respect and appreciation. Let's hear from Todd.
I want to thank the Religion Communicators Council for the recognition, and I obviously want to thank my guests who shared just some dramatic stories about their backgrounds, their childhoods, and then the things that they encounter as pastors in Kansas and Nebraska. So I want to thank specifically Reverend D. Williamston, Reverend Dr. Kevis Harding, Pastor Rhonda Kingwood, Reverend Robert Johnson, Reverend Portia Cavett, and Reverend Kirsty Engel for taking time, number one, to talk with me on such a sensitive topic, but then to be very candid and open with their histories and what they've experienced. As a white man, I knew that there was simply no way I could fully understand what people of color go through. Probably the story that most impacted me of any of the ones that I learned was from Robert Johnson. He tells a simple yet amazingly eye-opening story about being in a restaurant in Alabama with his family and seeing a mural that depicted police officers playing with white children in a quiet neighborhood, and how that opened his eyes about perspectives that white people have regarding police versus what he grew up experiencing. So for me, and I think for others like me, that mural was an eye-opening experience in reverse. So I found that I wanted to educate people who look like me about the experiences that seem so foreign to us. And the stories that these pastors shared were so personal, so fascinating, and such a blessing to hear that I wanted to hear from others, and I wanted to share their stories with others so they would understand the anguish that was experienced by these folks and by other people of color. Well, I've been a member of RCC for about 5 years, and I had certainly heard about the DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards. But to be honest, because of the respect I have for the diversity of this group and the tremendous talent of its many members, I really didn't think I had anything worthy of competition before. And I wasn't really so sure about this one, but the topic became so near and dear to my heart. And the stories that these folks shared with me were so good in the podcast episode that I felt it was worthy of at least entering the competition this time around. I want to thank all of the RCC members for all the work that they do every day to further understanding of faith and shared values across a diversity of beliefs. What we do really matters in the ongoing fight for social justice and for so many other matters that will improve the world in the here and now.
We were happy to see many entries in our shorts and feature presentations class. Here are your category winners.
In the audio, commercial, or PSA single word category, Friends Committee on National Legislation urges Americans to get out the vote, English and Spanish, by Adlai Amor of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the video, commercial, or PSA single word category, The Walk by Stephen Havira of Hartford Seminary.
In the video, promotional or informational series category, Matthew 25 Social Media Videos by Melody Smith, Michael Fitzer, Kathy Francis, and Jeffrey Lawrence of Presbyterian Church, USA.
In the video, promotional or informational single word category, Claremont School of Theology, Where We Are Going by Steve Horswell Johnston of Discipleship Ministries, the United Methodist Church.
In the video, entertainment or inspirational series category, Walking in Love by Kathy Williams and Patrick Lewis of Ursuline Sisters of Louisville.
In the video, entertainment or inspirational single word category, My Grandfather's Prayers by Lisa Stirs, John McCandless, and Brad Pomerantz of Jewish Life Television, JLTV.
In the video, documentary or educational single word category, On the Brule by Steve Horswell Johnston and Andrew Jensen of Discipleship Ministries, the United Methodist Church. And the best in class is
On the Brule by Steve Horswell Johnston and Andrew Jensen.
The Brule Boulevard was a really important part of the city. And then when the wall came down, everything changed. And the place was dilapidated for like about 20 years. And so Inspire came in here about 4 years ago. We talked to the city council and we said, look, here we're a handful of Christians from different churches, and we just want to try and be a part of breathing new life into this place. So we're standing in front of Inspire. This is our living room on the Brule. It's a meeting place for all the neighbours here on the Brule. And we have various events and things on offer here where we just build community and people come together and chill and hang out and experience live music. Like tonight, we've got Music Monday, or learn English, senior citizens. Offers for kids as well, kids program. We have whiskey tastings. We have other things where folks just come together, get to hang out with some really cool Christians.
Judges said, the filmmaking is top-notch, the soundscape superb, the narration and interviews varied and compelling. The viewer's attention is held captive from the moment it starts. And here's Steve Horswell Johnston.
Thank you so much. We are so excited to get this award. I can't tell you all the people that are involved with this. So many to name and not enough time, but let me just give you a couple. Blake Davis and Andrew Jensen, who were my camera people with me along the journey in Germany. This is a little town that most people don't even know about, that we went to. And it's caught up in neo-Nazi, really difficult times for that town. And this one block out of that entire town has been transformed by Barry Sloan and Inspire Ministries. And special thanks to him and all the leaders of Inspire Ministry who's making a difference in a unique way. So all three of those. And then final thank you would be to Junius Dotson, who recently passed away. Probably one of the most amazing people that I've worked with. He is our General Secretary at Discipleship Ministries of the United Methodist Church, and provided the funds and they really the passion and the insight to make this happen. So thank you for the award. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be able to do more good work like this in the future. Thanks a lot.
Our specialty program class includes such things as podcasts, blogs, and webinars. Congratulations to these 3 category winners. In the podcast series category, U.S. Baha'i News, A Circumnavigation on the Wings of Baha'i Choral Music by Joyce Litoff of U.S. Baha'i National Center.
In the podcast single work category, Respecting Religion Season 1, Episode 15, Protests, the President, and the Photo Op with the Bible by Sherilyn Crow of the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Liberty.
In the webinar series category, CBF Conversations and CBF Gathering by Jeff Hewitt, Aaron Weaver, Carrie Harris, and Jeff Langford of Cooperative Baptist Fellowship. And the best in class is U.S. Baha'i News, A Circumnavigation on the Wings of Baha'i Choral Music by Joyce Litoff.
Christopher LaMountain is a Northwestern University student who has been singing with the Baha'i House of Worship Choir in Wilmette, Illinois. In summer of 2019, Christopher set out on a remarkable trip around the world. A trip that just a few months later would seem even more remarkable due to COVID-19 travel restrictions. Christopher's goal was to visit the Baha'i houses of worship around the globe and to study the emerging musical culture at each. Christopher kept a diary of his travels, and we invited him into the recording studio to share some of his experiences with us. So listen as he shares a circumnavigation on the wings of Baha'i choral music. This episode brings us to the heart of Africa, to the Baha'i Temple in Kampala, Uganda.
Judges called it rich, engaging, moving, and thought-provoking, and said no episode outlasted its welcome, and all were jam-packed with interesting information, not only about Baha'i and other musical traditions, but also about the places that were visited. Let's hear from Joyce.
Hi, it's so great to be here virtually. Thank you so much. I want to say that I'm always pleasantly surprised when we receive these DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards, because I am not a trained podcaster. And one of the joys of being in a relatively small office is that if I get an idea or hear about something that I think would make a good audio story, I can just go out there and do it. Our choir director, Van Gilmer, deserves a lot of thanks for this one. He mentored a Northwestern University student, and the House of Worship is just up the road from Northwestern University. And Christopher LaMountain was studying music and came and listened to the choir sing and then wanted to join us. And Van really embraced him. And then Christopher got the idea to travel to the Baha'i houses of worship around the world. And there was one in each continental region. And Christopher wanted to explore the emerging musical culture at those houses of worship. I also want to thank Victor Sanders, who was the audio engineer who helped with this project. Victor is amazing at hearing all of those little vocal tics that we don't notice in conversation, but that in a recording makes it sound much smoother and is terrific. And he added all the music in and helped really present some creative ideas. So thank you to all my partners in this, Van Gilmer, Victor Sanders, and of course, Christopher LaMountain, who shared his amazing adventure around the world. It's always a shot in the arm for me when my work is recognized by the Religion Communicators Council. It always lifts me up and reminds me that I am even though I feel sometimes like I'm dabbling in these different media, that I am bringing the best I can to it. I just want to encourage all of you, as you work throughout the year, maybe think about those projects that you might want to share with others. We love to see the work that you do.
And that completes all of our publications classes. Now, before we move on to content, I thought you might like to know a little bit about who our judges were and how this process worked. And we did have excellent judges, 49 of them to be exact. Some of our best judges, and the kind we specifically sought out, are communications experts who are not even in the religion communications field. One such judge is Kalinda Fisher. Kalinda founded Market Advocate Research Bureau in 1998 and has become an expert in market research in the banking, healthcare, and entrepreneurial industries. She's also the founder of The Great Reset, a program which has put hundreds of diverse people into communication at tables around the country. I thought you might like to hear what Kalinda had to say about your work.
I really learned a lot about your field and am in quite honestly, of all that you do. I realize that it's about connectivity and community. And I realize that what you're putting out there and the messaging that you're putting out there is really about that connection and inclusivity and transparency. And I was really honored to be a part of the whole process. Honestly, it gave me a lot of hope. In this day and age of us living through a worldwide pandemic, everybody feels a bit adrift, if you will. And to know that our religious communicators are working so hard at extending themselves and opening themselves up and really with open arms, bringing people back in to the faith communities really, truly gave me a sense of hope for the future. I guess my overarching message to the members is keep it up. You've done a great job. And right now, we need to build communities. And we need to remember that years ago, churches and faith communities used to be the hub of a neighborhood. And that's where people would come together and they'd congregate and they'd get the help and the support that they needed. And we've lost that. And I think in the messaging that you're putting out there right now, which says, regardless of your station in life, regardless of your gender, regardless of your race or your ethnicity, you are welcome here. That's a really good start. Keep it up.
We'll have a bit more on the judging later. Now it's time to move into our content classes. And first up are the category winners in our class, Writing for Periodicals.
In the newspaper, article or story, series category, commentary by Reverend Dr. Jeff Long of Southeast Missourian Newspaper.
In the newspaper, article or story, single work category, Sarah Chopra Salazar Can't Be Easily Dismissed by Reverend Emily Enders Odom of Presbyterian Mission Agency.
In the newspaper, cover or feature item, single work category, The Salvation of Mass Incarceration by Jessica Brody of South Carolina United Methodist Advocate.
In the magazine, article or story, single work category, 1 Month and Counting, the Church's Unique Role in Encouraging and Supporting Voting by Susan Gottschall of American Baptist Home Mission Societies.
In the magazine, cover or feature item, series category, International Faith and Politics by Brian Kaler of Word and Way.
In the magazine, cover or feature item, single work category, Enduring Truths by Gail White of Green Gate Marketing. And the best in class is Enduring Truths by Gail White of Green Gate Marketing.
Calvin Johnson pulled his car up to the gasoline pump and waited for someone to come out of the service station to fill the tank. No one came. He had never had to pump gas, and he was embarrassed to ask for help. He laughs now when he tells the story, but his experience at the self-service pump was a small example of the changes that occurred during the time he lost. 16 years in prison for a rape and burglary. DNA proved he didn't commit. Calvin Johnson is now relying on education about the past to help change the future. We may admire people who turn their experiences of abuse, discrimination, and persecution into positive attempts to help other victims and to prevent future injustices, but we shouldn't leave it to those who have suffered to stand alone. Writing the future should be the work of many scribes, and it should not wait.
Judges said, I was blown away by this entry. I don't give 10 scores easily, but the writer's command of the language, use of examples, quotes, both old and new, etc., all contributed to a phenomenal piece that artfully held my attention and kept me engaged until the end, while teaching me new things about a topic that has been covered quite a bit. Let's hear from Gail.
I'd like to thank Catherine Branch, who trusted me with the writing, and I'd like to thank Bishop Rob Wright and the staff of communications of the Episcopal Diocese of Atlanta for seeing the importance of communication and quality magazine work. I spent a long time in the secular newspaper business working for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and I was fortunate to be able to cover religion at the time that was a hot topic in newsrooms. And so I had a great time doing all that. Well, newsrooms have cut back on their specialty writers, and the religion communicators have an even greater responsibility than in the past to carry on the coverage of religion. And I was once asked to write the answer to the question, why cover religion? And the answer that I gave was because it affects everything from very personal decisions about abortion and euthanasia to international conflicts and diplomacy. And so as religion communicators, we have to be aware of all that and get the word out to the public about how important religion is. I think we also have to hold religious organizations accountable, shine a light on the abuses as well as the good stuff. So I just think that work is terribly important, and I hope that everybody will continue doing it.
In our specialized writing class, we have 4 category winners.
In the editorial series category, Too Literal Newsreader by Brian Kaler of Word and Way.
In the editorial single work category, Stepping into the Holy Story, Finding the Blessing in a Pandemic-Altered Christmas by Donna Frisch-Connect-Jackson of Presbyterians Today.
In the broadcast script single work category, Racism and Policing in America by Diane Randall and Adlai Amor of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the non-broadcast script single work category, Bearing Peace Across Racial Divides by Lauren W. Rogers of Presbyterian Church USA. And the best in class, Stepping into the Holy Story, Finding the Blessing in a Pandemic-Altered Christmas by Donna Frisch-Connect-Jackson.
I often find myself staring long and hard at the nativity scene that sits on a table in the living room, trying to imagine all of the holy sights and sounds. As I stare, I wonder, what is my role in this pageant of grace? In years past, I have never had the time to really answer that question. There were always things to distract me, gifts to wrap, cookies to make, worship services to plan, church caroling dinners, and decorating parties. I believe this year, though, we are being given a chance to reassess and define our roles. I believe we are being given an opportunity to step into the narrative in a powerful, albeit uncomfortable, and not exactly what we might have wanted, new way. With many congregations foregoing in-person Christmas Eve worship services due to COVID-19 precautions, we will be faced with emotions not associated with the celebration of this holy night. We will perhaps feel a fear of uncertainty and a disorienting sense of displacement. But wasn't there uncertainty and displacement that very first Christmas? If you think you are disappointed that you won't be able to sit in your church pew, imagine how Mary must have felt, giving birth away from home and in a stable. Yet God was there and is still here with us.
Judges said if a person is seeking spiritual experience, having a ringside seat watching Ms. Jackson's reflections on her yearnings hit the spot. And now let us hear from Reverend Donna Frisch-Connect-Jackson.
This is really exciting to win this award, especially for this editorial. I really want to thank, seriously, my congregation, because if it wasn't for the folks in my congregation calling me nonstop, asking, Pastor, what are we going to be doing for Christmas Eve worship? How is it going to be if we can't worship together because of COVID? Because of all their phone calls and emails, basically harassing me about what are we going to do, that led me to writing the editorial about how Christmas Eve will be different this year and how we're being invited to really step into the story and not a sanctuary. To enter the awards this year, it is almost... it's almost spiritual for me. It's almost as a way of me saying to God, okay, am I on the right path? Am I going to get the affirmation? And it's also just a joy to share what I have created, win or lose. It's just a joy to share. And that's why I wanted to submit this year. Finally, I just want to say to all of you members of RCC that I am honored to be part of this group of great writers. And it really is humbling to realize that I am in such a group of great writers. But most of all, I just want to say to everybody that win or lose, just keep on writing, because the world really needs to hear about the God moments. And so win or lose, just trust those Holy Spirit nudges, trust what God puts on your heart to nudge you to put out there in print. Just trust it, because we all have a story to tell. And And I have to thank you all for your wonderful stories because, as everyone knows, a good writer reads a lot. And I have been blessed by your writings as well. So thank you.
Next up is artwork. The artwork class has 4 category winners. In the photography, article, or story single work category, Black Lives Matter, White House by Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
In the photography, cover, or feature series category, Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church by Brian Kaler of Word and Way.
In the illustration, article, or story single work category, Jesus and Vegas Have a Lot in Common, article from Gather Magazine, May 2020, by Elizabeth Hunter and Sarah Carson of Women of the ELCA.
In the illustration, cover, or feature single work category, Finding Hope, Ending Hunger on Both Sides of the Border, a bilingual Latino devotional by Doug Puller of Bread for the World.
And the best in class is Finding Hope, Enduring Hunger on Both Sides of the Border, a bilingual Latino devotional by Doug Puller of Bread for the World. Judges said the piece's goal was to convey a vibrant culture, and it certainly achieves that. I love how the colors represent the livelihood of our people in North America, and I particularly value the intricate details of the illustration. And let's hear from Doug.
First, I'd like to thank all the Christian writers that contributed and poured their souls into writing this devotional, and especially like to thank Dulce Gamboa for organizing it and editing it, and just thank you for the to the RCC and its members also. For me, I feel like this one was special for me because I was really allowed to have a free reign on the design, and that can be very freeing, but it can also be daunting. So I did a lot of research on the Latino community and its history, and Mexico in particular, because this is really about the Mexican-American border and the related poverty and hunger issues in migration. And this just, I came into this embroidery idea that I kept seeing, and I just kind of went with it, and I hope that it was successful. I always look forward to the RCC each year. It's really nice that a nice way to put a spotlight on design in particular, in my case, and it also helps to shine a light on Bread for the World and what its mission is, and each organization in the RCC.
Our design class also has 4 category winners. In the publication design, article, or story single work category, George Floyd, A Reckoning by Stephen Havira of Hartford Seminary.
In the publication design, cover, or feature single work category, Gather Magazine December 2020 cover by Elizabeth Hunter and Sarah Carson of Gather Magazine.
In the website design single work category, The Christian Citizen by Curtis Ramsey Lucas and Joshua Kagi of American Baptist Home Mission Societies.
In the logos and branding single work category, FCNL Brand Standards 2020 by Adlai Amor and Wesley Wolfbear Pinkham of Friends Committee on National Legislation.
And the best in class is Gather Magazine December 2020 cover by Elizabeth Hunter and Sarah Carson of Gather Magazine. Judges said the facial expressions communicate the full range of human emotions, including fear, awe, surprise, and delight. And here's Sarah Carson.
The credit really goes to my colleague Elizabeth Hunter, who is Gather's editor, but she wasn't available to be on the video call, but she was the one who really worked with our designer and with the artist Carol Aus to create the beautiful cover. We just thought it was a unique cover, really special, different from what we'd done before. I think Elizabeth chose the image specifically because it was a view of the nativity that you don't often see. The picture is almost from the perspective of Mary, and it just looked so lifelike that it was it just was really special to us. We really thought it communicated the season of Advent well, and was just a beautiful painting. Yeah, we've been members for many years and won a number of awards, and the recognition we've received has always been really special, to be recognized by other religious communicators. And then we always, every time when we win, we get to share it with our readers that they subscribe to this magazine that has won all of these awards. And it's just exciting to be recognized in that way by your peers.
And that wraps our content classes. Before we get into our last group of the night, I want to thank everybody who participated this year. The entries were outstanding, all of them. Judging was a challenge. More than one judge commented on that. For each entry, judges were asked to give numerical scores based on writing, concept, design, and more. And they were asked to give feedback on what were the strong points of this piece and what would you have done to make it better. Judges were generally kind, always honest, often frank, and sometimes very tough in their answers to these questions. I'm happy to tell you, you will receive the scores and every bit of feedback. Use it how you see fit to forward your work and mission. I thought you might like to hear from one more judge. Lori Whitby is the founder of Whitby Content and Copywriting. She's been writing content for over 35 years, but she was not too familiar with the field of religion communication. This is how your work came across to her.
I didn't realize how dynamic the religion communication field is. I came in here thinking it was much narrowly focused and a little bit more, I'm going to say elementary or old school. I didn't realize that there were so many, that you had all the tools in the toolbox that you were using, and you were using them to such a high caliber. It was encompassing and engaging, and you really have a high quality communication standards about you. And that was so thrilling. My takeaways reviewing the entries were, I guess it opened up the world to me, because I didn't understand that it was so national or even so global. And it's wonderful because you were able to do not only spread God's teachings, but also your own individual church or organization's mission and how you communicate to your community. And it was so enriching to learn that it was local, it was national, and it was global, what you all are doing. Whenever you encounter anybody else who is not in your field in the Religion Communication Council, make sure they understand that what you're doing is huge. I said, you are on par with your colleagues who are selling coffee, who are selling widgets in the B2B or even the B2C market. The projects that I saw were fabulous. They were of very high quality, using the very latest teachings from marketing. And it was just, everything was superb. It was high quality, professionally done, and just outstanding.
And now our last class group, campaigns. In the book Strategic Public Relations, A Practical Guide to Success, Kim Harrison defined a campaign as a planned set of communication activities, each with a specific defined purpose, continued over a set period of time and intended to meet communication goals and objectives relating to a nominated issue. Campaigns are what set aside the wannabe PR hacks from the public relations professional. Anybody can put up a blog post. It takes a professional to put up 10 blog posts all on the same topic, anchored in a full website, promoted on 5 social media channels, all while proofreading the hard copy magazine, monitoring results, and researching the next campaign. That's PR. Hot, exciting, and hard work. And when that attitude and conduct is applied to religion and spiritual values, the world is moved to improve. In the beginning may have been the Word, but the Word may have stayed in the beginning had not people of faith spread it far and wide. And now those people of faith depend on professionals. They depend on us to spread it farther and wider. So thank you to the professionals amongst us. Thank you to the new members. and the young professionals just entering the field. It's an honorable field and a necessary one. And now, on to campaigns. In the Public Awareness Campaigns category, Texas Boy Adopted After Spending Half His Life in Foster Care by Christopher Ruth, Kayla Salzman, and Morgan Russell of Buckner International.
In the Community Relations Campaigns category, 2020 Advent Devotional by Kurt Gortney and Joseph Edwards of Phillips Theological Seminary.
In the Media Relations Campaigns category, DespediEndonos.com, the platform to accompany those who suffer most during the pandemic, by Lamachi Communication for Good Causes.
In the Crisis Management Campaigns category, Buckner Retirement Services Response to COVID-19 by Christopher Ruth and Kayla Salzman of Buckner International.
In the Fundraising Campaigns category, Our Faith, Our Future, Ending Hunger in Times Like These, a Virtual Gala, by Doug Poehler of Bread for the World.
In the Specialized Campaigns category, Pope Francis's Campaign for the End of the Pandemic COVID-19 by Lamachi Communication for Good Causes.
And the Best in Class? Our Faith, Our Future, Ending Hunger in Times Like These, a Virtual Gala, by Doug Poehler of Bread for the World. Judges said, "This is an engaging, effective campaign with high production values." The video of the virtual event was a delight to watch. Once again, let's hear from Doug.
I'd like to thank Carrie Burt and the development team and their fundraising efforts. And I look forward to illustrating a Christmas card each year. And it's just it's an incredible challenge. But I also look forward to it each year. And according to the development team, it's been very successful. And I hope that we can do it for years to come.
And now we have one more presentation to make. I'm happy this year to award a Best of Show. There was one entry that scored particularly high, higher than the rest. In fact, when judges were asked for weak points, this is what they said. "I thought this was great and would not change it at all. I think it's fantastic. Sorry, I have nothing here. Keep it up." This is the first piece out of all the content I have judged that I can't think of a single suggestion for. You covered all of the bases with this documentary, and I wouldn't change anything about it. And now you know it's a documentary. And now I'm very happy to announce that the Best of Show award goes to longtime RCC members and true creative professionals, the team of Steve Horswell Johnston and Andrew Jensen, for On the Rule. You've already seen a segment from the video. Here are a few more comments from Steve.
I remember watching DeRose-Hinkhouse Awards and the RCC annual convention convocation back in my 20s and thought I would never have the opportunity to partake in it. And then circumstances changed and I was able to not only partake in it, but of course, when that happens, you're immediately asked to do something. And I was immediately asked to produce one of the year's awards that was in Dallas, and I had a great time and have been involved ever since. And the people that I have met along the way have changed and informed my ministry, and all the people that I really have affected over the years. It's an incredible, connected, supportive community, and I'm thankful for it.
That brings our program to a close. I'd like to thank our Executive Director, Shirley Strushin, for her care and support over the years in making sure that this program and this organization has continued to exist. I'd like to thank Victor DeRose for starting it and Paul Hinkhouse for the inspiration. I'd like to thank my predecessors who coordinated it. I know how much work you've put in. To all of our amazing judges who spent hundreds of hours reading, reviewing, and scoring. And the entrants, thank you. Watch for an email from me later tonight with login information so you can retrieve your scores, feedback, and certificates. And finally, to our members, thank you. Your work is precious and priceless. While the rest of the world quibbles about what is and is not newsworthy, or even what is and is not news, you are telling the real tales. You're shining light on atrocities and abuses, but most of all, you are shining the light of love, joy, hope, and truth. All mankind is blessed with the potential to communicate. Some explore that potential more than others. Religion communicators have taken it fully to heart, exposing the divine in the mundane, reminding humanity of the almighty power that permeates our existence. I look forward to your communications throughout the year, and blessings to you as you carry on. Good night.